Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session. Today, we are going to talk about managing risk and compliance for AI ML use cases, leveraging IBM watsonx governance and Amazon SageMaker. So I'm Swati. I'm the director for platform engineering and client engineering COE. With me, I have Eduardo, who is the senior partner solution architect with AWS, and I have Sunil, who is IBM senior partner solutions architect. All right, moving on to the next slide. This talks about our agenda today. So, just to give you an idea of what you will hear, we are going to talk about the AI governance use cases, a bit of introduction about what's an X governance, and then we will delve into Amazon SageMaker, where you will understand the depth of how it brings the ML to life and AI and ML to life, and then we will talk about the integration between Watson X governance and SageMaker, and then there will be a little demo that we have put together for you. So with that, moving on to the next slide. All right. So generative AI is transforming the AI landscape, creating significant inflection points for innovation and advancement. However, this progress introduces new complexities as well, especially in the area of governance, risk, and compliance. Ethical challenges, data privacy concerns, regulatory requirements, all these become increasingly critical for organizations when they are looking at adopting generative AI. Now, managing these complexities demand a robust framework to ensure there is transparency, accountability, and compliance with the global standards. Now, without effective GRC measures, the potential that Gen AI could overshadow it could overshadow the consequences and operational risks. So, with that, moving on to the next slide. Here we talk about what AI governance caters to. It has basically three use cases around lifecycle governance, risk management, and regulatory compliance. Now, when we talk about lifecycle governance, it looks at seamless cataloging, monitoring, and management of AI models throughout the lifecycle of that model, which provides consistency and oversight. With risk management, we focus on identifying and assessing and mitigating any potential risks that might be associated with an AI system, things like bias, ethical concerns, and operational vulnerability. With regulatory compliance, the regulatory compliance basically allows organizations to align to the evolving global standards, industry standards, ensuring that there is legal adherence to AI deployments. Now, with these three pillars of AI governance, uh, they allow organizations to maintain transparency, accountability, and trust in their AI initiatives and helps bring together the technical and the non-technical stakeholders. So, next slide talks about the watsonx governance. So watsonx.governance is an integrated platform which is designed to streamline governance across the key domains. So there's some of the domains listed there, which includes operational risk, model risk, regulatory compliance. It offers a unified framework to help manage the risks and ensure that there is adherence to to the organizational and the regulatory standards. Now, the platform delivers a very engaging UI, user experience, which simplifies the complex workflows. And by leveraging the automation and the infused AI capabilities and advanced analytics capabilities, what watsonx.governance does is it empowers organizations to proactively monitor, analyze, and address any governance challenges. And this approach has helped organizations build and maintain trust, transparency, and accountability in their AI systems. So, moving on to the next slide. Okay. So, as you can see, the watsonx.governance in watsonx.governance, we have taken the guidance from the AI governance use cases, and we have created three verticals. The lifecycle governance vertical really focuses on managing, cataloging, and monitoring AI models across their entire lifecycle, which ensures transparency and control. Risk management involves identifying and mitigating potential risks which are associated with AI models. And these could be biases, performance issues, or even ethical concerns. And finally, compliance, which allows an organization to adhere to global and industry specific regulations, helping the organizations meet their legal and ethical requirements. So together, these verticals, they empower organizations to again build trustworthy, responsible, explainable, and scalable AI, right? While they ensure that the risk that is associated with building AI systems is maintained and the compliance is taken care of. So, with that, I will hand it over to my colleague from Amazon. Eduardo, please take it away.
Thank you, Swati. So let me talk a little bit about Amazon SageMaker. Now we call it Amazon SageMaker AI, right? So Amazon SageMaker AI is a fully managed machine learning service. It is designed to provide data scientists and developers with the necessary tools and infrastructure that they require to build, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale. So, and SageMaker operates in production-ready environments, right? So it's a completely hosted and managed environment, and it offers customers access to hundreds of generative AI models, including IBM Granite models. So SageMaker supports the entire machine learning lifecycle, and we're going to see how that plays into the integration with watsonx.governance. So whether you're preparing data, building models, training and tuning your models, or deploying and managing them, SageMaker AI provides comprehensive support throughout these different stages of the AI ML workflow. Now, when we look at, for example, data preparation, right? SageMaker AI offers tools like Data Wrangler for data processing, Feature Store for feature management, and SageMaker Clarify to detect bias. And when you are building models, you can leverage fully managed Jupyter notebooks. You can use built-in algorithms, or you can even bring your own, right? And SageMaker AI also supports RStudio for R-based development, as just as an example. No, with SageMaker AI, the training service is fully managed, right? And it supports both CPU-based models or GPU-based models, right? For generative AI use cases, for example. And it includes features like distributed training libraries, training compilers, automatic model tuning for hyperparameter optimization. And when we look at deployment, you have a choice of different options depending on your workloads. For example, you can choose the inference option that best suits your workload, whether you need real-time inferencing for steady traffic, or you can also use our serverless inferencing for intermittent traffic. So SageMaker AI provides all these different options for you. And it also offers you with the option of using batch transform for asynchronous inferencing or large payloads that require large processing times. Now, all these functions can be managed from a single integrated development environment known as SageMaker Studio. And you also have available to you your ML ops capabilities. You have SageMaker projects. You have pipelines available that you can integrate with CI/CD tools. And another key feature that we're going to look is particularly in the integration with watsonx.governance is the model registry, which functions as your centralized model catalog. Now, if you're a business analyst without any coding experience, you can still build models using SageMaker Canvas, which is our no-code machine learning tool. Lastly, for the governance, which is the topic of the session today, this is integrated throughout the entire machine learning lifecycle. And it includes things like managing your user permissions, capturing model data, metadata, documentation information for compliance and monitoring purposes. Now, we can move to the next slide, and we're going to jump into some of the key benefits of using SageMaker, right? So Like I said, SageMaker is a fully managed AI ML solution that developers and data scientists can take advantage of on the AWS cloud. With SageMaker AI, you can accelerate the development of your generative AI solutions. You have access to over 400 foundation models, as I mentioned, from leading companies such as IBM, where you can find the IBM Granite models available to deploy on SageMaker inference endpoints. You can also use tools to streamline ML ops and improve ML governance, and we're going to see that in the integration with watsonx. And these tools include things like the model registry, as I've mentioned, and model cards. We're going to talk a little bit more about those. At AWS, we're fully committed to responsible AI development. It is a core value in our approach to AI ML. So we're helping customers put theory into practice, and they can take advantage of tools like SageMaker, Clarify, and our governance tools to achieve those objectives. And talking a little bit about SageMaker Clarify, it enhances visibility into your training data and models to identify and reduce bias and explain predictions, while SageMaker governance tools are going to simplify access control and ensure transparency throughout the ML lifecycle. Now, SageMaker also provides comprehensive security features, including infrastructure security, data protection, authorization, authentication, monitoring, auditability to meet your security requirements for AI ML workloads. And by standardizing security policies across your SageMaker development environments and processes, SageMaker enhances the security posture and ensures compliance with organizational data security requirements while reducing the time needed to provide data scientists with access to all the necessary features and components to build and train and deploy AI ML models. So we can move to the next slide. All right, now let's take a look at the model registry. And this is a component that we're diving a bit deeper into because it plays a central role in the integration with watsonx.governance. And the model registry is a powerful tool for managing machine learning models throughout their life cycle. So think of it as a catalog of your machine learning and AI models, right? And it helps organize, track, and govern your models from experimentation to production, right? One key feature is that for those that are already familiarized with SageMaker, we we still have something called the SageMaker model cards, but recently we also integrated the model cards with the SageMaker model registry so that you can keep track of all the necessary business and metadata for your models. So this integration with model cards allows you to view and associate detailed information such as training metrics, evaluation results, and other metadata directly within the model registry. And this integration gives you enhanced transparency and provides a centralized view of your model collections with all the key details that are required for governance. Now, the model registry is also essential for governance because it enables you to define approval workflows, track model stages, enforce lifecycle management policies, and you can manage different model versions. You can associate metadata to your different model versions and ensure compliance with organizational standards, right? And that's why it plays a key central figure in the integration with watsonx governance. Now, within the model registry, models are organized into model groups, which track different versions of your ML models. And these different versions can be created to solve specific problems. They might have different information. They might have different training data, different metadata from each other. Now, these groups can be categorized further into collections for better organization. And the registry supports automated deployment, integration with deployment pipelines to streamline the transition from model development to deploying into production, and also maintaining control over this entire process. Now, with the model registry, you not only catalog and deploy models efficiently, but as I said, you also establish governance practices that make your ML workflows robust and reliable. So we can move to the next slide. Now, let's briefly talk about the model cards. As I said, model cards are available as as their own construct in SageMaker, as their own feature in SageMaker, but they've been recently integrated with the model cards. And they're also playing a key role when we talk about the integration with watsonx.governance. Now, the model cards are an essential governance tool that is designed to document key information about your machine learning models, such as their purpose, assumptions, risks, stakeholders, and more details, right? Now, as I said, recently integrated this with the model registry, making it easier to have a centralized way of handling all your model collections and also the metadata information, and making it easier to share the information about your models within your organization. Now, model cards, they provide a centralized location to capture these important details throughout the model lifecycle to support responsible AI practices. Right? And creating the model cards, help provide clear guidance on how the model should be used, supports audit activities with detailed description of training and performance, and communicates how the model aligns with your business goals. Now we can move to the next slide.
There's a question from Pablo around the IBM models in SageMaker. So you want to cover that, Eduardo?
So yeah, we are working with IBM to bring the Granite models into SageMaker. So today we have a few models already available on SageMaker Jumpstart that customers can deploy to their inference endpoints and utilize these models. Now, when talking about using mainframe specific data, that's a very interesting question. We do have solutions that can be used, IBM solutions like Datagate and watsonx.data alongside with SageMaker, so that you can utilize your mainframe specific data with your generative AI and your AI ML models in general, right? So that is something that we already have customers that are reaching out to us and asking these questions. And one of the really cool things that we do with IBM on this partnership is that we work together to support customers that are looking to implement these solutions. So you can work with an AWS solutions architect and an IBM solutions architect to dive deep into your specific use case requirements, and we're going to help you achieve those objectives. Now, if we talk about the services that can be used for governing the ML lifecycle, like let's take a look at some of these key services. Now, the ML lifecycle begins with defining use cases, right? AI ML use cases, generative AI use cases. And then you are going to onboard your teams, you're going to prepare data, you're going to train models, you're going to test the models, you're going to deploy models into production, into pre-production environments, and so on. And you also have to continuously monitor these models, right? Now, throughout this process, data governance plays a critical role, right? And some of the tools that we have on AWS include Amazon Data Zone, which helps you centralize data access and improve data quality across your organization by using a data mesh architecture. And this enables your teams to share and discover data while maintaining governance. Now, for governance, for model governance, as I've mentioned before, with Amazon SageMaker AI, you have several tools to support different stages throughout the ML lifecycle, right? You can use Role Manager to set up the necessary permissions. You can use SageMaker Clarify to, ensure fairness and compliance by detecting bias in your training data. You can use the model registry inside SageMaker to manage your model versioning and deployment. And through the model dashboard, you can have insights into how the models are performing, metrics, and all the metadata information as we've discussed through with the model registry and the model cards. And finally, with SageMaker Model Monitor, you can track the performance of your models in production and ensuring that they continue to meet your expectations and your business requirements. So we can move to the next slide. Now we are going to start jumping into the integration between SageMaker and watsonx governance for the governance use cases. Now, as we've talked about here, we we are using SageMaker, to create our models, train the models, have access to our data that's sitting on AWS, or even data that's sitting on premises. But we want to have a way throughout the model lifecycle to make sure that we can move data from SageMaker into watsonx for the governance purpose. And then as the business users and the compliance officers and compliance persona works on watsonx.governance, going through all the GRC activities to make sure that the AI use cases and the models are compliant. They're also going to enrich information on watsonx.governance, and that needs to be reflected back into SageMaker. So Sunil and I, we're going to discuss now a little bit on how this can be achieved, right? So Sunil, if you want to chime in. Yeah, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. Thanks, Eduardo. As Eduardo said, like most of the development activities, right? Your machine learning development activities still works on Amazon SageMaker, and these development activities include the build, train, deployment at scale, and monitoring your models. Whereas watsonx.governance ensures that the models that have been developed on the SageMaker is in line with the lifecycle governance. It proactively detects the risk and mitigates it, and it is aligned to the regulatory compliance as well. Now let's deep dive into the entry points of or the integration points between the watsonx governance and Amazon SageMaker. Uh, for the integration between these two platforms, from AWS, we would require the cloud trial, which records the different API calls that the SageMaker performs. So all these API calls are recorded onto the cloud trial. We would need an event bridge. So based on the SageMaker API calls, the rules are defined within the event bridge, and these events are sent to Amazon Simple Queue service. From the integration point of view, we would need AWS account ID, the access key and the secret key, and the Amazon SKS URL. The data synchronization between these two platforms is done through the model cards, model packages, and the model groups.
Now, one thing that I just wanted to highlight here on this diagram is that we have a concept where you can use a centralized model registry. Like imagine that you have multiple different teams creating different machine learning models, AI models, all on their different environments, right? Now, obviously, within SageMaker, you can have a situation where you have separate model registries, right? So you can have multiple registries, but you can also use this concept of having a central model registry. So imagine that you have a shared services ML account, and then all the developers can push either through business unit or through the entire corporate environment, push models into the centralized model registry. And as Sunil said, right, there are two different entry points. Now imagine that you have multiple models already existing in your catalog. You can do a bulk upload of the information about those models to watsonx.governance, or as we're going to see, and Sunil is going to explain in the upcoming slides, as you create a new use case in watsonx.governance, that use case gets reflected back into your model registry, right? So this integration is bi-directional, and it exchanges data throughout the entire model lifecycle, right? So that the business and the compliance personas that are working on watsonx.governance, they always see updated information reflecting from SageMaker. Likewise, your data scientists and developers, they see information reflecting back from watsonx governance into SageMaker model registry.
So coming on more detail onto the entry points, right? So currently there are like two entry points. Customers who are already using SageMaker as their ML workflows, they can use what they can do is like whatever the information, the model information that has been registered onto the model registry can be replicated easily on the watsonx.governance, or customer who are starting their machine learning journey through SageMaker, they can also use our watsonx.governance platform for their governance, risk, and complaints purpose. Now coming to the entry point, coming on to the entry point, any model creation within Amazon SageMaker, right? Usually they are like three different personas. One is the GRC persona, the data science persona, and the data scientist. So any requirement that comes in, usually the data scientist starts building his model in Amazon SageMaker. What we suggest is, rather than directly starting the model development in Amazon SageMaker, they would log in onto the watsonx.governance console, create an AI use case. And once the AI use case is created with all the information about the model, say, just giving an example of what information about the model, what is the business use case, what is the risk associated with this particular business use case, all this information are provided. Once the information is provided, the GRC officer would review all the information of this particular AI use case. Based on the approval or rejection, say the AI use case has been approved, the email notification would be sent on to the data scientist user so that they can start developing the model using Amazon SageMaker. Edward, do you want to continue for AWS?
Right. So once the use case is approved on watsonx, let's imagine that you start by creating your AI use case. Right. Once that is approved, like Sunil said, what also happens is that a new model package is created in the model registry, so that the data scientists, when they're developing and training the model, once they register the model version, they can use that model package, right? And that information gets reflected back into watsonx. So as they go through the entire process of, developing the model and training and deploying the model into dev environments, test environments, and so on, all that data gets reflected back into watsonx. And as Sunil said, the GRC and compliance officers, they can review that information, and in any stage they can give their approval to say, yes, everything, all the data for this model looks good. It looks to follow the business requirements and the compliance requirements, and they can give their approval to move the model throughout the life cycle into the different stages like dev, QA, pre-prod, prod, and so on, right? So, and that's why you see this bidirectional data exchange between the two different systems. So yeah, I think now, Sunil, you have a demo, and we're going to see all this in play, right? We're going to see how you start from creating the business use case all the way to having this integration between the model registry and watsonx.
Right. Yeah. Thanks, Edward. So in the demo, like, these are the different stages of a model development, right? We are trying to map the different stages of the model development with respect to watsonx.governance and Amazon SageMaker. Let me switch over to the demo. Right. So once an user logs on to the watsonx.governance console, this is the home page. So this provides a GRC officer, a data scientist, the entire like bird eye view of organization, stating like the number of models that have been developed, the number of models that are run as. It provides statistics about the entire models. One important point to be noted is, like, it provides us to the drill through approach, where if you wanted to key in a specific request, you can go ahead and key in onto the particular model as well. Now that we have seen the dashboard, right? So as we have seen in the previous slide, now the data scientist persona provides the information about his particular use case. The data scientist provides the basic information such as the name, the description, the purpose of this particular AI model that is being built, and who is the owner of this particular use case. Once all this information has been once the information has been provided, uh, they will be the system automatically goes to the next state, where additional information has to be provided. Say for example, what is the business unit for this particular model. uh, Along with that, we have other information that has to be incorporated, right? So the initial request that was provided was uh, the business use case. Now we are trying to add additional entities to this particular business use case. Additional entities would be kind of what is the risk level of the model, what is the use case, who are the stakeholders for this particular model, right? So in this example, we are selecting the model risk as one of the stakeholders, and who is the technical owner of this particular use case that is being built. Once all this information has been provided, now we have submitted for the initial approval. So now initially we had created a use case. Along with that, we had provided the risk level and all those information. Once all the information has been provided, system automatically generates the list of questionnaires for this particular use case. These risk identification questionnaires depend on the use case, the context, the use of this particular model. The questionnaires can be like, is this particular is the data used for this particular model, is it biased, or say for example, like which category does this particular use case fall under. So based on the input of the user, the questions automatically updates, and this questionnaire is highly customizable, and based on the answers provided by the data scientist team, system automatically goes ahead and identifies what is the risk associated for this particular business case, right? So here we see the data scientist has provided all the information. They were like around 49 questions. The data scientist has provided answers to all the 49 questions. He goes ahead and submits the risk identification for this particular use case. Once the answers are provided for this particular use case, system automatically identifies what is the risk associated for this particular use case, right? So these are the different risks that are identified, and what is the system automatically provides the rating of this particular uh, residual risk rating for this particular use case as well. Now that we have a data bias that system has identified, we will start assessing the risk associated to this particular model, right? So we have created a use case with risk fraud detection as one of the use case. We have provided most of the information that is required as part of the GRC, and it provides all the information related to the model, with the risk identified with it, what is the relationship, and all those information. Now let's assume that the GRC officer has reviewed all the information and he has approved the model development. Now the data scientist can go ahead and start developing his model. For demo purpose, we are deploying a serverless a model which is using XBoost, and the entire information about this model is stored onto the model registry, right? So these are the different steps as part of the model development process. uh, we see each cell has been executed. Now we are trying to upload the data onto the training data onto the S3, and we are training this particular model using the XBoost. And once the training is completed, the entire information about the model is pushed onto the model registry within the SageMaker AI, right? We see that the information all the information has been created and is pushed back onto the model registry. Now the training is completed, then comes pushing the entire information about the model into my model registry.
So once you register this new model version in the model registry, what's going to happen is that that information is going to reflect back into watsonx, so that the compliance and team and the business personas can continue the process of evaluating all the model information to provide the necessary approvals or reject or send it back for further development, right? Depending on what are the results and if the results from the model comply with what are the expected business requirements, right?
So now we see that the model has been developed, stored in the model registry. The entire information about my model is kind of replicated into my the actual use case, and this is awaiting for the approval from a GRC officer. One important point to be noted is, like as we said in our architecture, if the data scientist has used SageMaker Clarify to monitor the model, the entire information about the biasness, the different parameters are all the information is recorded within this particular AI use case, so that the GRC officer can review all the information about the model. Now that the GRC officer is satisfied with all the information that has been provided with this particular the model development, he goes ahead and approves this particular request. Once the that like we see the different series of steps which we behind the scenes we invoke a workflow. Based on this particular workflow, the GRC officer would go ahead and approve or reject this particular request. So this is a sample email notification that is sent out to for each approval or rejection stage. A notification would be sent to the GRC officer and the data science team as well.
Here we can also see some metrics that are coming back, as Sunil said.
Now the final approval is kind of done from approved for production is done from the GRC officer. Once this particular request is approved, if you see this particular status of this particular model is being changed to approved as well.
And you also see here on this is the model card part where you see all the details of the model for your audit. This is showing information that's reflecting back from watsonx. So the information was enriched on watsonx governance, and not only the model status changes so that the data scientist can either trigger an MLOps pipeline or manually deploy the model, but you also get the data science team is also has visibility into the information that is coming from watsonx governance to SageMaker through the model registry. Now, watsonx.governance is available on AWS already as a SaaS offer from IBM. It's available through the AWS marketplace. And with this integration, once a customer subscribes to watsonx governance, right, as you configure the integration, as Sunil has mentioned, right, you need to have certain constructs on AWS, like capturing model registry events through Event Bridge and through CloudTrail, and those events are captured using an SQS. Now, it does require that to be configured on a watsonx, where you establish the connectivity between watsonx governance and SageMaker. You can configure up to 10 accounts on your connection to 10 different SageMaker accounts on your watsonx subscription. And there's a specific number of concurrent users and models that you can monitor. Obviously, you can increase those. But it is a fully managed offer from IBM on AWS. And it's, as I said, is a SaaS solution. So with the SaaS, you don't have to provision any resources on your own AWS account when it comes to watsonx. Everything is taken care by IBM for you, and the platform runs on AWS, right? So here's a QR code, for those who want to scan and take a look at the offer on the marketplace. You can go ahead and do that. Obviously, we are here to help anyone that has questions, that wants to understand these offers a bit more. So the integration between SageMaker and watsonx.governance is currently available on the SaaS offer. And throughout sometime later this year, we hope to also have that available on the self-hosted version of watsonx governance, which is also available on AWS to be deployed on OpenShift. So I think we can move to the next slide. Some additional resources here for you, also some QR codes, and these QR codes are going to take you to different content. So the first one is a blog that we released that goes in a bit more details on this integration that we explained today. This was a blog published around the last AWS reInvent time, so around November, December last year. We also have some additional materials that go in a bit more details on this integration between SageMaker and watsonx governance. And then we have a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, which we call Lightboard videos, where we talk about this architecture also in a bit more details, and a bit more details about how watsonx governance handles the end-to-end lifecycle for AI ML models on SageMaker. So just some quick links that if you want to explore this content a little bit more, you can reach out to these different resources. And so on my side, just wanted to say a big thank you for everybody who has joined us today, and also Sunil and Swati, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Have any questions? Yeah.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask, and also feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help for anyone that's interested to learn more about this watsonx governance and SageMaker integration, but also what are the other IBM solutions that we have available on AWS.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much for your time.